What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Oh man, I'm gonna start doing lives over here for a minute. um, I was supposed to have some special guests here, but they're not. So, been on the phone for the last couple of hours having conversations about things like redlining, the stimulus package, um, the freaking black agenda from the so-called black leaders. I don't know how they where they will. I don't understand where do they come from, who put them there, who what's up, Cheeky, who approved them. This right here is probably gonna be more of a video than it is a live. I don't think a lot of people know about this channel and been here before, but I'm doing this to actually record. So I'm gonna actually play the Biden conference with the so-called black leaders, and I'm gonna stop and go.
Start by thanking you all for your leadership and support. You've rallied support against some of Trump's most dangerous actions, his failure to contain the pandemic and the mass casualty event it's caused in the black community, his embrace of white supremacy that's been just straight out and continues, his attack on the ACA, which affects so many African Americans, his incitement of violence against peaceful social justice protesters, removing diversity and inclusion awareness policies across the federal government. And you've successfully litigated voting rights cases while the right to vote has been under more severe attack than any time since I was a kid. And you've helped ensure that Americans across the country complete the census and are counted, which is a big deal, and an awful lot more. We have an enormous amount of work to do, not just to reverse Trump's actions, but to repair the damage that of 4 years of his policies. They've exacerbated and worsened every inequity from housing to education to the economy to being able to build back better. And I've made advancing racial equality a priority throughout the campaign in our transition team, and I'm going to make it a priority in our administration. And I know you all have, well, you just know you can have partners, 2 partners in the White House. And you have responsibility, I think, that in addition to that, to push as hard as you can for the nominees we come forward that I think you're going to like. Understand that, and I support all you've been pushing me to do as well. You're going to do your jobs, I know, and I'm going to do mine. And together, I think we're going to see progress happen. I understand you have a few policy and personnel proposals you wanted to discuss today. I welcome your input in the council. And here is what my transition team is doing to ensure that tracking racial inequity is part of every piece of work, from policy to agency review to personnel to appointments to technology and to delivery. We've asked our agency review teams to look at opportunities to advance racial equity in the federal agencies. I just announced, by the way, the COVID team, and we have one whole, we've set up a new department that requires it to look at racial equity in the way in which the COVID vaccine is in fact distributed. It's an important piece. It's across every aspect of our administration. And I view this as an essential part of taking responsibility for greater equity across the government. And we're talking to a lot of policy experts, including many of you I've talked to, and we're developing implementation plans to assess implications for racial equality and racial equity. We're applying anti-bias techniques as we recruit people for my administration, and the ones we'll hire and those who will be second, third level folks as well. And I've asked Cedric to help me think through how to build on this work and make sure we infuse throughout my entire administration after holding listening sessions with experts like yourself. On personnel, I'm committed to administration. I've said this from the outset, that's going to look like America and represent the country in a way that I said I would. And I'm proud of General Austin, that I picked him to serve as Secretary of Defense. I hope you'll support his nomination and join me in celebrating its historic significance. So many African Americans have died defending this country. It's the first time in American history we'll have an African American heading up the Defense Department. Of the people I've announced already, the majority of the people are people of color, and we're just getting started. I've only named 10 of the 20 cabinet level appointees. I'm confident by the end of the process, you'll see a talented cabinet that represents the diversity of this country. I know we have a lot to discuss, and I want to invite Kamala to add anything she'd like to say before we get started. But we're here to listen, and we're here to work with you. I promise you, you're going to have access to us throughout our administration. Kamala?
All right, I want to stop this right there. I want to say this. So Biden and Kamala Harris is having a meeting with the supposedly black leaders. I have not seen a town hall from these black leaders. I don't know who half of these black. Yeah, I do. I know who all of them. I don't know who all of them are. Why are they in a meeting representing us talking to the president without a town hall, without any admissions from any of us? I'm so tired of these old people that pops up when it's time to negotiate something for black people. I'm tired of the rappers. I'm tired of the artists that's going out here using their social platforms for social justice whenever something bad happens. But when nothing's going on, they're nowhere to be heard of. They're probably somewhere making music about destroying the neighborhood and destroying the people that's in it. Other things that he said, he appointed a black general of the army. But what I would love to see, and we're going to get into this more, is I would love to see America put tariffs and embargoes and freeze all of Lloyd of London's money in the central bank. England, London, Senegal, the Vatican, Italy, everybody who participated in the transatlantic slave trade. People think that when we talk about America need to pay us reparations for slavery, I don't want America to pay a dime. I want America to go after these countries and put a package together for $20 trillion. And us as the black delegations, not these niggas that's on the screen with him, negotiate with America that they get to keep 10% if they collect our money. Now, it is 15 different countries plus AIG, different banks from Wells Fargo, Citibank, Bank of America, Chase, all of the banks that you bank at, that you ride past they pretty buildings every day, that participated in the insurance, in the shipbuilding, the finance, and the fucking money to enslave all of our ancestors, right? And their cities are built and they're beautiful and they're progressing. I think that they should give them 30 days to participate, to come up with this $20 trillion package. I think it should be distributed by America at a 10% fee because we're using the services of the fuck. This money has nothing to do with America. They're not tax dollars. This money belongs to African Americans that's in this country, in the wilderness, that has been neglected for far too long. If if African Americans can go to World War One, Two, Civil War, Vietnam, and all the other wars and die, a million of us dead to fight in this country, I think that America should return the favor and go after these countries financially, and if we have to, bomb the shit out of them. If they really care about, if black lives really do matter and we really are citizens, that's what I think. And I think it should be a $20 trillion package. And I think that every African American in this country, pending they are enrolled in college, that they should receive $50,000 at the age of 18 for the next 20 years. That's what I think should happen. We're not asking America to go into their pocketbooks or into our tax government, this and that, and fund a fucking $20 trillion deal. No, we're not trying to bankrupt the country that we live in and love so much, but we do. We are instructing the United States of America to go after the countries that benefited from freaking slavery. All of them, all of the jewelry companies, all of the banks, that's what we're asking for. So, as I play this video, I'm going to stop it. But these people don't represent the views that a lot of black Americans view. And yes, it's good to have a black appointee, a black vice president. All of that is great. But For once, Black America wants to use the power of the United States, because if today it came out that the United States government has been hacked by Russia, they're gonna put tariffs on that fucking country, everything. They're gonna fuck their money up, freeze their money. They're gonna do all kind of fucked up shit for them. We're simply asking the United States to do the same thing for us. We want our money from those countries. And if they come out and say that they're not gonna pay us in 30 days, then we bomb the fucking shit out of them. That's what we do with every other country. We get in other people's business all the time. I'm gonna need for America to get into our business and go get our money. All of these countries have came out in the last 10 years and apologized and admitted that they played a role in slave trade. They've already admitted to it. We're not asking nothing but the president to get involved and tell them, like, okay, you admitted to it, you're guilty, pay us our fucking money or we're going to bomb the shit out of you. That's not a tall task. Because if they decided to go to war tonight with Iran, Iraq, Russia, they'll send your black ass over there and drop you off with a gun, a GPS, and a fucking MRI. That's meal ready to eat ready, whatever it's called. So as I play this, I want you to listen. And I want you to listen to some of these ignorant people that's coming out saying that they're a black leader for you. Even though we wasn't told, we wasn't asked, and they're showing up meeting with the president, negotiating things on our behalf without talking to us. You know? So let's get into it.
Thank you. Welcome. It's good to see everybody. The only thing would be better if we were together in person. But thank you for everything you do every day. We have arrived at the day we hoped, which is that after 4 years of dealing with what we have all been dealing with, we have new opportunities and to really follow through on a commitment to racial justice, social justice, equity, equality, fairness. The work that we need to do as an administration cannot get done without your involvement, partnership, support, and influence. And so I say hello to all of the friends. Thank you for everything you have done and that the organizations you represent have done over all of these generations, because I would not be the vice president of the United States elect were it not for that work. So greetings and thank you. And we should get started because this is the time for you to talk.
Cedric, you gonna start this or how are we doing this? Can't hear you, Cedric, you're on mute.
This is what I'll do. I'll turn it over to my former boss, Mark Morial, and he will give us the run of the show. But Mark, if I see that we're getting bogged down somewhere, I may have to jump in because I know Reverend Al is last and I don't want Reverend Al not to get his full time also. So hopefully we'll go straight through, but I don't want to make sure we don't use up too much time and deprive the last guest. So with that, I'll turn it over to the chair and CEO of the National Urban League, Mark Morial.
Cedric, we have a lot in common. We both work with him, for him.
Mark, you're on mute.
Go ahead, Mark. I think you're on mute.
Mark, you're muted. Yeah, Mr.
I've never heard anybody
President-elect.
mute you before, Mark. I've never heard that happen, ever.
Mr. President-elect, Madam Vice President-elect, first of all, that sounds so great to us. Let me just say congratulations to both of you on your historic victory in this election, for which we worked so hard to turn out a record vote in our community. Let me also just begin by thanking you for Cedric Richmond, Cecilia Rouse, and General Austin, and Vice President-elect Harris particularly, for your courage and fortitude in selecting them for these very important positions. We intend to work closely with Cedric on an ongoing basis to make sure we hear you and you hear us. Let me begin by telling you who we are. We are 7 historic civil rights organization leaders. We do not come as individuals or personalities.
Time out. Who the fuck are these people? What do you mean civil rights leaders? Like, what do you do? What do you do? How do you get paid? Like, I don't understand it. What is like seven civil rights organizations? Like, what do you do? You know what I mean? I've never seen any of these damn people. I have. I've seen them on TV as correspondents on MSNBC and CNN. But what are you talking about? That you're a civil rights leader. There's no civil rights leader. These people don't be in the hood. These people don't do anything to help you at all in your daily life, period. They show up when someone get killed by a police officer and they get absolutely nothing done. But let's continue.
Come as leaders of historic civil rights organizations, meaning we have been there, or the roots of our organization go all the way back to the 1960s and prior to that. We are a group of equals. There is no one organization or any one of us who is the leader of the pack, the president of the group, or the chairman. We come as equals, bounded together by mission, doing our work in different ways, but with an intense focus on racial justice, with a particular emphasis on the African American community for many of us. I want to lift up your historic commitment to racial justice, embodied in your campaign document, Lift Every Voice, and embodied in your statements, the night of your victory, where racial justice was lifted up as one of your 4 pillars. Our job is to help you and to hold you and your administration accountable to accomplish the progress of racial justice. And those twin objectives, helping and holding you accountable, is what we will use to guide this relationship over the next 4 years. To accomplish this objective, you must maximize the number of African Americans in the cabinet, sub-cabinet, and the White House staff, so that people with the lived experiences of racial justice and the professional qualifications.
Now, see, I have a problem with this. The man is not even in the office yet. You're demanding to put black people in office in the White House. And this is what I have a problem with. I don't want just black people to fill positions in the White House. I want the best person in the White House that can get my fucking $20 million. They don't get it. It's 1960. Nobody care about, nobody's marching. It's 2020. We have been free for 100 years. If it's civil rights and all of these different groups and shit, why y'all ain't in the hood trying to stop these little boys from killing each other? Why y'all not trying to lobby companies to hire people with felonies? Why y'all not trying to lobby companies to bring companies to these fucking neighborhoods? Why y'all not talking to your own black people, your Jay-Z's, your Nas, your Kevin Durant's, your fucking Steph Curry, into fucking creating businesses in the community? This whole panel is full of shit. I'm gonna put it on the screen. I want you to see it. I want you to see this panel. I want you to see these people. I want you to see that. You see this shit? You see these people? I want you to see. These are black leaders, and I'm guaranteeing that nobody in this fucking chat knows who the fuck they are or what they do. And they showing up and telling the president that they demand this and they fucking demand that, and talking about civil rights, and they been around. It's kids out here getting killed every fucking day. It's no jobs. It's no economic development. The only thing they're building in the hood is Wing Out, which will kill you with grease. It's Dunkin' Donuts. It's bad with sugar. McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, the Dollar Store, and Walmart's that kill small businesses. And all of these black mayors in these neighborhoods give these companies massive tax breaks, so it is something in the hood. I don't want the fucking black people in the White House. I don't care if they black or white. I want the person that's gonna do their fucking job and collect our fucking 20 trillion. I don't want that. I don't want that. You know what I mean? I don't want that. I don't care that it's historic that somebody got the fucking job. I don't care. I don't care. But let's get back to it.
Are at the big table in the deliberations and the discussions on all issues. We want to affirm that as Americans, every issue is an African-American issue. Some issues are of greater importance than others, but every issue is an African-American issue. I will say as I began, and then I'll be coming back later with some specific suggestions and accomplishments, specific suggestion, that to accomplish the aims of racial justice, there must be, at the beginning, a commitment to address the racial wealth and economic gap that is so persistent and exists in this country, and that Mr. President-elect and Madam Vice President-elect has gotten worse in the last 20 years and gotten worse in the era of COVID. Our community is in crisis. This nation is in crisis. Our community is catching hell economically, catching hell from COVID. And I want to encourage you, Mr. President-elect, to be bold, to be imaginative, to view this as the historic opportunity that it is for your administration. So number one, to accomplish the aims of addressing the racial wealth gap, it will require a set of targeted policies that focus on the communities that are deeply impacted. I want to lift up your own plan, the Lift Every Voice plan. And I want to encourage you to ensure that from Secretary-designee Yellen to each member of the economic team, to every member of the staff economic team, that this document and this plan be a guiding document for everything you do in the next 4 years. Your commitment to this plan was encouraging, and all too often in an administration, people come in and they bypass the specific commitments that were made during the election. This plan, we think, should be the guidepost of your work when it comes to racial justice. I just want to say two more quick things. Number one, with respect to the first 100 days, we will share with you various thoughts about what should be in the first 100 days. I want to lift up the importance of a broad-based stimulus with money for cities, with money for African-American businesses with less than 5 employees, for education, for COVID distribution that utilizes community centers and libraries and community facilities as distribution points. And I want to encourage on an economic recovery plan that you think of infrastructure as not only transportation infrastructure, but as community facilities.
We lost you, Mark.
You're muted, Mark.
Mark, you're muted.
And the like. Where did you lose me? On infrastructure.
On infrastructure.
So we recommend that infrastructure be not only transportation infrastructure, Mr. President-elect and Madam Vice President-elect, but for schools, community centers, broadband, and other facilities such as water systems. Without that, a transportation infrastructure plan will not achieve the aims of addressing the racial economic inequities in this country.
If you get a chance to read the plan, you'll see it does exactly that, what you're talking about.
And we appreciate that, and we want to emphasize that. So with that, each of us is going to discuss a set of issues, and I want to turn it over to my colleague, Derek Johnson, to provide some context. After that, we'll go to Melanie Campbell.
Thank you, Mark, and thank you, President-elect and Vice President-elect. It is truly good to say that after this most tumultuous 2020 election cycle.
Thanks for your help, Derek.
We have a huge opportunity. And I think the opportunity is capped with what Mark just mentioned. You've made some bold statements and promises and commitments during the campaign cycle. You've also made some very clarifying statements after it was obvious that you would, in fact, be president-elect. And taking the example from corporate America, when they actually embrace the opportunities of diversity, when they actually understand the importance of inclusion.
Let me pause him for a second. um, Everything the guy said about broadband and about offering great paying jobs, this and that, yada yada yada. But this is what you got to understand. You have to include that these jobs must hire people with felonies. You must include that these infrastructure jobs is not gonna go to people that have training in these areas, but they're gonna offer training on the job training in these areas. And these jobs need to be tied to a long-term commitment to different programs that are in the hood, that these classes create jobs for people teaching these classes. I think that they should stop going to grab people that is on the media and that they see um, on the media and different things and such. I think they need to talk to regular people to tell them like what is so difficult about a lot of these things. COVID, that is a situation where if you want to get, they got it at Walgreens, this and that. Like, it's no reason to, like, I don't know. You know what I mean? I'm not looking for a quick buck. I don't care about them adding more money to SNAP or giving away a bigger stimulus so people can get an extra check. That's a given. You're going to get that, right? What I'm interested in is the $20 trillion that's owed us from these countries. And I'm interested in the people, the plan for letting people, like, if you're going to legalize marijuana, I think you need to go back and take every marijuana case off everybody in the whole goddamn country. I don't care if it's for 100 pounds. You need to let motherfuckers out of jail that got caught with it. And then not only do you need to get rid of those marijuana cases, but you need to downgrade the fucking, because if you're gonna make drugs legal, then that means that you have to come down off the sentences off harder drugs. Can't declassify one drugs, like, no, you have to freaking, and it's because we don't have a drug problem. If you're not willing to go to war with Mexico over the cartels and Colombia, if you're not willing to drop $50 billion worth of bombs on them, then you shouldn't authorize states to build $80 billion prisons to put people in. Alabama right now is building 2 prisons that's gonna cost them $88 million to lease, right? So they have to go out and lock up people to go into those prisons. That's $88 million a year. So who do you think is gonna go in those prisons? So now you're gonna start seeing the fucking cases that judges is gonna start sentencing motherfuckers longer because they work for the state. And they need to fill up these prisons so they can get $88 million a year from the federal government for having them. I want you to understand what's be going on, what's going on to you, baby. But we gonna keep it going. What's going on, Sid?
Those who have been able to successfully pivot, they have empowered an individual to be a diversity and inclusion officer who will report directly to the president. This is a strong message that the message from the chief, it will germinate in terms of the reality of how people operate. And I want to encourage you to consider that as something that this administration would be bold enough to do, to empower an individual who's responsible for carrying out some of the statements, some of the commitments that you have made to address racial opportunity and equality, as you stated when you first started off. And as NAACP, we touched over 18 million voters this election cycle in 12 targeted states. We had a specific focus on areas like my hometown of Detroit and Milwaukee, and Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, and other areas. And we are now in Georgia doing the exact same thing. But I would like to caution you in terms of the opportunity to get good people confirmed in the Senate. It would result in the outcome of this Georgia election. And anything that could peel off any of the votes would be something that could be harmful to the outcome. If you consider the victory that you appreciated in Georgia, it was around 12,000 votes. And so as you consider appointments, you also must consider what impact would that have on voters in the state of Georgia. And I will submit to you that former Secretary Vilsack could have a disastrous impact on voters in Georgia. Shirley Sherrod is a civil rights legend, a hero. I live in the state of Mississippi. I'm surrounded by civil rights icons, and I understand the reverence that many of them have, particularly in rural areas. So I want to make sure that as you consider appointments, that you do so with November 5th in mind, so that we don't miss an opportunity to be able to get confirmed some of the outstanding candidates that you're going to bring forward. If you decide to take that route, I strongly encourage you to reach out to Ms. Sherrod, have a conversation with her. I strongly encourage you to talk to Black farmers so that you have a clear understanding of the impact any decision can have on the January 5th election. It is our goal as NAACP, it is our goal as civil rights community for this administration to be successful. And it can only be at the success we need it to be if we have the ability to get good people confirmed. I'm going to round that off with what you started around this question of equity. A bold statement that you can see it early is to rename the Domestic Economic Council, the Domestic Economic and Equity Council, charging them with the responsibility of tracking the spend and the dollars as it impacts many communities, not only African American community, the Native American community, the Latino community, and others communities, to show that there is in fact equity in how we are managing our economic policy. The same thing for OMB, rename it and give it a charge of equity, Office of Management, Budget, and Equity, so that we can track and manage and understand whether or not the commitments made during the campaign can truly be lived up to with this administration. We are cheering for your success. The work that Cedric Richmond has already begun to do to reach out and build is really important, but his skill set is so much broader than just the Black community. We are really celebrated. Amos Brown mentioned it to me every time Vice President-elect Harry.
What the fuck is he talking about? We need to stop this shit. We came here for business. What is he talking about? But he almost done. I'm gonna let it play. But what is he talking about? All that shit stupid. Everything he said, all of it.
That she's a member of my church. And I don't know if you're a member or not, but Amos don't claim anything that's successful that's in proximity of him. And we love Amos for that.
He's
but
right
we
to
really
claim
need
it.
a laser sharp focus on your commitments, because what gets done is what gets measured. What gets measured is what can be held accountable, and accountability starts with making sure somebody is solely responsible on carrying out the charge of the commitments you made. Thank you for the opportunity, and I want to make sure.
Look, a lot of people finna get mad at me for this, but I think that after Warnock gets in the office, I don't think there need to be any more Black politicians in government. My history with pastors, and I don't want a lot of people to get mad at me, but you know what, I ain't gonna go there because I'll make all y'all mad talking about pastors. Pastors and politics with me doesn't quite work. I need the smartest people in the room to be politicians, to figure out what's the best thing for the community. And then I need that person to be transparent with the community. Pastors have these big, gigantic churches and their long cars and their Bentleys and their Escalades and their planes. They don't heal people. They don't do any of that. You give your money and they give you a facility. You show up there. The church is not fucking, yeah, bro, Pastor Pimp. The church is not in the community anymore. I remember when the church used to feed people, when the church used to give away scholarships, when the church used to bond people out of jail, when the church used to go, you're like, I done seen my grandmother many days. Go to the church and get up there and confess. Like, I don't got the light bill. My lights is off. And then everybody, the pastor, not only does he give you the collection plate from that day, but Monday, the pastor at your house at 8 o'clock. You know what I mean? Going down there to get your lights turned back on. Made you feel good about going to church the next Sunday. I don't see that. Where are these pastors when these kids is getting killed? Why aren't these pastors going after these gun companies? Why aren't the pastors lobbying the aldermen and the congressmen, state officials, to ban the license of gun owners that is showing up in the neighborhoods killing people? That's where your work is. Your work is not talking to the president about policy, and you don't have a fucking degree. You don't have a degree to be in this position. You don't have a degree to be dealing with China about jobs and different things and different water structures and technical development, computer engineering things that make your neighborhood smart, the functionality. Because our neighborhoods are not functional. They're not functional. They haven't changed in 60 years. It is a better way for people that don't have money, for people that don't have money, people that don't have an education. It is a more efficient way for them to live. You cannot expect a person that make $50,000 a year to live like a person that make $200,000 a year. And I'm not talking about the zip code they live in or the structure they live in. I'm talking about buying basic things in order to make their life fucking progressive. So why on earth, I'm looking at this screen, why is it 4 pastors on this screen without a college education? Somebody explain that to me. Why is Al Sharpton here? Where did he graduate? Okay, nigga, you marched with Martin Luther King. But does that entitle you to be involved in every situation that's black? No. I would have preferred the black kid that hustled his ass off and fucking did what he was supposed to do, and now he's fucking in his senior year at Berkeley. And he has been working from Berkeley to work on black initiatives. I don't want to hear some 60-year-old man 80-year-old man without a college education on a panel discussing things that he don't know about. He doesn't know these things. I'm going to continue to play this pastor that's on here right now, but he doesn't know what he's talking about. And he's on here just talking and he's stumbling and bumbling. And it's embarrassing. It's so embarrassing.
That your statement is ring true. We do have a responsibility as an advocacy organization to raise the questions as we hear it germinate from our members, to call out concerns as they exist. That's something that I will always do, but I want to do it in a way in which we can always have a dialogue. And that dialogue should be towards solutions, because my little piece of solution with your army of solutions, we can perhaps get a solution that not only help the African American community, but make democracy.
I would die if I had to sit here and listen to this shit. Like, what are you talking about? This is listen. A president and a vice president is elected based upon the policies that they want to pass through legislation. Just because a police killed a black man and you came out, your church came out, or your action group to support the black man that was killed in their family, does not meet the requirement of talking to the president of the United States about policy that's going to affect everyone. You maybe should go and have a meeting with the attorney general, the top cop that hasn't been named yet. I think he's going to name either Judge Merrick Garland or Doug Jones from Alabama. Doug Jones in Alabama is the guy that prosecuted the guy and convicted the guy for the 16th Street bombing. So I can understand why Biden would pick him. He put the 16th Street bomber, bombed the 4 little girls in the basement. And I can understand why he's trying to appoint Judge Merrick Garland. But these pastors, they only have a leg in this fight because they were there for Tamir Rice. They were there for, I don't want to name these people. They were there for them. But I don't think that this is a proper setting to be discussing anything financial with the president, I think that we need the smartest black minds in the country to be here in this conversation addressing this. But I'm gonna play this back, and this is one of your, if you're black and in this chat, this is one of your stumbling, bumbling black leaders right here. I'm gonna continue to play it.
Democracy work for everyone. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Great. Melanie Campbell.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, President-elect Biden and Vice-elect Harris. It just has a wonderful ring to it, a wonderful ring to it. But thank you for the opportunity to have this conversation with you all today. And also thank you for earlier, President-elect Biden, for meeting with me and several other Black women when you were deliberating about who would be your vice presidential running mate. And so I want to thank you for selecting now VP-elect Harris, and for her selecting you as partners. And it has, so we want to thank you for the opportunity for us to make the case, and that you all were awesome as a winning ticket. And we know you will be an awesome administration. So I want to thank you on behalf of those Black women, like Cleola Brown and others, and many others of us who met with you earlier on when we sent you that letter. Also, we want to thank you on behalf of many, many Black women for the selections you've already made for your administration when it comes to cabinet as well as other White House staff. Also want to really encourage you as you are selecting your positions for statutory cabinet positions, that Black women are represented in those positions. And names that we all have heard, and we've also sent letters to, for Congresswoman Marsha Fudge, or Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, and Karen Bass, and Susan Rice, and others, that Black women who can bring the lived experience and expertise to the table, and how important that is as you round out your cabinet. I want to thank you for selecting Cedric Richmond, who I've had the pleasure of knowing from his role at Congressional Black Caucus and others, and know that we're looking forward to that relationship as we move forward. I have a couple of things from the National Coalition of Black Women's Roundtable that we wanted to share. I want to first talk about COVID-19 and its impact. I am a survivor of COVID-19.
I know.
And thank Congresswoman, thank VP-elect for calling me, and for you all sending me those flowers in September. And the issue around healthcare and implicit bias, what happens. So when I was first diagnosed the first week of September, I was checked into the hospital, and a day later, and I had pneumonia, and I was sent home the next day with Tylenol and Mucinex. I was not given remdesivir. I was not giving anything. I was sent home to figure it out. The very next day, I couldn't breathe. I had to take an ambulance, and I was in ICU for 2 weeks. I almost didn't make it, and I was in the hospital for a month. As we speak right now, I have a 70-year-old sister and a niece. I have 7 family members in Atlanta who have COVID. They went to the hospital on Saturday. One niece has a heart issue, had bypass surgery this year. They went to the hospital on Saturday. They all, 4 of them were diagnosed in my sister's family circle. They were sent home the next day. I didn't understand that. On Sunday, my niece had to be taken by ambulance back to the hospital. She was at home. Sunday, she's diagnosed with pneumonia. My sister, 70 years old, retired teacher, sent home. She had to get in the ambulance yesterday, sent back. So the question that I think for the COVID task force is to look at what's happening with how people in the hospitals are being, how these decisions are being made. We know that Black and brown people are the ones who die most disproportionately. So when you go to the hospital for care and you're sent home with Tylenol.
This is just, it's bad. It's terrible. There's people dying all over the country, everywhere, not just in the black community. Not. And it's unfortunate what happened to this lady's niece or whoever went to the hospital, but we have to start thinking of things we have to start thinking of things as a setting for, like you would think of redlining. Everybody that's here, when you get a chance, Google redlining. I think that they need to get rid of the 2-year tax return. Seeing that black people can't get jobs in this country because they don't put a dime of money into education. I think that the 2-year tax return moratorium needs to be lifted. I think that it is a million regulations to set us up to fail. When you get into these things and you lift the cover up on them and you discover what they've done in the past versus what they're doing now, that's where you'll find your systematic racism. I don't think that any of these people that's on this platform, besides the president, understand what systematic racism is. And that's probably because he's been in government for 46 years. And he might have participated in a small collective portion of it. But I don't think any of these people, and I can tell by their vocabulary so far, we've heard from 3, that they know anything of what they're talking about. I don't think this is the 3rd person. And I don't think they know what they're talking about. And that's why I don't think that they need to be on a panel talking about their black leaders. Being black and wanting to progress has nothing to do with government assistance. Yes, while COVID is the topic of the day because it is a virus killing people in this country, there's a vaccine out. A lot of people are going to take it. A lot of people not. By the summertime, it'll be to work itself out. Herd immunity. It'll be enough people taking the vaccine to where other people won't get it. Some kind of way, it'll work itself out. They're going to continue to make vaccines for this medicine to the point where by the end of the year, this vaccine will be taken by pill. It's other companies developing new things every day. But I don't think these people on this panel, every pastor, thinks that giving relief to black people is putting more money in SNAP and putting more money in Section 8. And that's not the case. If you want if you want equality and fairness, you're going to have to go after the people that put you in this situation. Does this president have the balls to go after countries that's in our NATO that we have an agreement, a war agreement with? And do they have enough balls to go after the central banks and make them pay? And this is the crazy part. A lot of you bank at Bank of America, Chase, Citibank, Wells Fargo. If your account is late or you got an overdraft, they're going to charge you $35, $40. If you want a credit card come from this country, they're going to deny you. But they built this company off the backs of slaves, literally. They financed the entire thing. So I want the government to go after them. I want them to freeze their money. I wanted to treat it as if Russia just hacked into the computer systems of the United States government. That's what I would like to see, but I'll continue with this shit. I don't know how many people that's still here or want to hear it, but I'm gonna keep playing it.
As opposed to getting remdesivir. Once I was sent back to the hospital, I received remdesivir and all the other cocktails and treatments. But by that time, I'm now in ICU. So I asked that as the task force looks at all the things that they have to look closely at that situation. And I would like to offer my opportunity to be able to help in any way I can, because there's other things that happened while I was in the hospital. So some of the people who have been patients to be able to make sure that they're talking to folks, and I'll offer myself up and in that regard. The other issue around COVID, of course, is your task force as you deal with, and I think someone mentioned it already about, I think Mark did, about how you deal with vaccines and distribution. We know our community has a lot of fear when it comes to vaccinations and things like that for very good reasons, and we know that history. And that community-based organizations are engaged in that process as the trusted leaders, trusted organizations to make sure our communities are not so afraid of actually taking this vaccine so we can save more lives. Lastly, I want to focus on your White House Council on Gender Equity as it's being formulated. I've worked very closely during the Obama administration with the White House Council on Women and Girls. I think it's very...
Time out. I see why a lot of people don't want to take the vaccine. Now, let me put this in perspective for you. If you don't want to help me pay my rent and you're not sending me food to eat, why are you trying to get me to sit down to take a drug that's going to keep me alive? You can't tell me that you don't care if I live or die over here and then tell me that go to take this vaccine that, hey, I care about you living over here. This is the truth about the vaccine. This vaccine probably has more insider trading than any other pharmaceutical drug ever. Every white congressman, even black congressman, or House of Representatives, and the president and his whole staff has probably taken their life savings and invested it into Pfizer and Moderna. You want to know why? Because every person that you have seen on the TV taking this vaccine, the United States government paid $6,000. And every time somebody takes the vaccine and the United States have to pay $6,000, those people that's pushing this shit, along with the networks, all of the cable networks, they get paid. They got stock in the company. You're gonna get a fat check. This virus, some people get dizzy, some people falling the fuck out. I don't know how true it is about the Ball's palsy on the right side of your face, but it is happening on camera. You know? And I'm not taking, listen, there should be a choice in this country. Either you take $20,000 and stay at home for a year with full chemicals and Lysol, or you take the virus. It shouldn't be that we're not gonna give you shit. You're gonna starve. You're fucking unemployment. We want you back at work. Fuck all that. You're going back at work with no protections and liability, so the employer can fire you if you don't want to come work in this fucking life or death situations. And you better take the motherfucking virus to get into it. You better take this vaccine to get into anything. Yeah, the virus probably is safe today. You're not gonna die. People get in the camera that, hey, it's safe. See, I took it. Well, what about a year from now? How do I not know that this virus is gonna spark something in your system that's gonna develop cancer or some new shit we ain't never fucking heard of before? Right? You know what I mean? Like, think about it. You know, not to discourage people from getting a vaccine, to each his own. But I don't like shots anyway, and I don't like going to the hospital. I don't like doing anything that I don't understand. So it's going to be a long time. I can almost certainly tell you that I will be the last person to take a shot from this shit, if I can help it. Right? It's a lot of people that stand to make a lot of money from sticking this shit in everybody's arms. I'm not interested in making nobody money, and I'm not interested in proving a point. I don't know what this shit's gonna do. I don't know what it's gonna do to your body to be able to produce kids. I don't know if it's gonna develop some shit in your system to make you grow a tail next year. I don't fucking know. So I would prefer, they should have said everybody stay at home and send everybody chemicals, Lysol, give everybody Walmart gift cards to buy groceries, only open a store by zip code, and tested people to see how they did. Like, it's just, I don't know. And then I don't trust anything the fuck that Trump want to do. They play around with the stimulus package too much for me to trust them on a vaccine. They are rushing this vaccine. This shit is at Walgreens. It's here. It's there. It's people. Everybody taking it. The hospital got it. The vaccine. Take it. It's good. Take the vaccine. It's good. It's great for you. Take it. Take it. It's great. It's awesome. Take it. But these motherfuckers will know that your rent is due. They know motherfuckers' jobs. They see the 9 million claims for unemployment. They see the businesses closing. They see motherfuckers going and getting in the food bank line. They see this. They know it. They're getting the reports. And they are fighting to the death over $600 one-time payment and $300 a week extra for your unemployment. And then they want in the bill that companies can work the shit out of you no matter what the conditions is. And they cannot send you home. You know what I mean? They can fire you and you can't sue them. So if you at work and you ask to go home because somebody has COVID and you get this shit and die, the Republicans want you to be able not to be able to sue that company. Don't be a fool. Don't be an idiot. Stay away from this shit. I don't trust none of these motherfuckers. I don't trust none of them. I think that what I'm playing on here is a meeting with black leaders. And from the people, what I've heard so far, you can understand why we are so far behind. These issues that these people are talking about on here are not black issues. If someone wants to get vaccinated, they'll get there to get vaccinated. The same way that they go on the other side of town to go to Gucci, they can go over there and get a fucking shot. It's no need to be on here talking about community centers and shit. Who on this channel right now has a fucking community center in their neighborhood? Community centers don't exist. These motherfuckers were sent here for this meeting from the 60s. None of these people are equipped or have the degrees to be on this panel from what I see besides 3 people. 2 people are behind library books behind them. So wherever they at is books. So I'm going to take them at their word. And the other lady look like she's in a condo. These other niggas, I don't understand. These pastors, you don't have a degree for fucking politics or journalism. Shut the fuck up and get out the way. This shit is so embarrassing. You know, but I'm going to keep letting these people talk. I'm going to step in from one time to another. But towards that fucking vaccine, ain't nobody sticking shit in my arm. They had to tell me why. I'm not putting that shit in my arm. I'm staying at home out the way. It's the vaccine. The vaccine for this shit is staying out motherfuckers' way who possibly could have that shit. That's what my vaccine is.
Apropos for you to focus it on gender equity, also believe you should look at it as with a racial lens. I've been engaged with some of the other women's organizations around that, and I think it's very important that, as was done in that prior administration, that you have all of the departments have some element of that, representatives that participate in that. Lastly, what's happening as we speak around the recovery pack that does not include, unless something happened since we've been talking, paid family and medical leave.
Yes, it does. No, it does include. It does include paid family medical leave.
But does it have enough?
Well, it has more than, I don't think you've read it. It has significant.
Okay. No, I've been reading it, and I said something may have happened since, but it was 1.8 million was going to take for 3 months. Billion, rather. But making sure that it's there and strong. I say it that way.
It's there.
Like Biden.
None of these people, I put the link in the chat. I put the link. Y'all have time? Read this. These people that's on this panel is embarrassing the fuck out of us. They on here contesting a president-elect that's not even in the White House and haven't had a chance to pass one law. And they're contesting things that's in his plan when they have not read it. That is the third person that has confronted him about something in this plan that I put in the chat, and they have not read it. Right? So let's keep going.
And that's very, very important. And that's coming from many of the women's organizations that I work with very closely. So those are some of those issues. And I want to respect the time and hope I did not go over time with my colleagues to express some of the concerns we have from our organizations. And again, we looking forward to working with you both and your whole team as we move forward to make, bring back.
None of these people can get anything done. No black people is going to trust a pastor with any of their money in any capacity. The people that is coming on here to talk to the president that is ill-equipped and cannot read and did not read these documents, they shouldn't be on here. This is embarrassing. This is why they think they can just tell us anything and do anything, because you don't have people up here that's the voice of the people that can see things that's going on. Fuck a community center. How about get in touch with small-time mayors in rural areas and give us the same amount of fucking respect that you gave people from the World War II when there was a depression. You give out government loans, no interest loans. If you come over here, you can buy a fucking house. The government is going to give you the loan at 0% interest, and you can live in this area and start your own communities from home ownership. And you price those houses at $50,000, and once they're all sold, you fucking appraisal them like you did in 1942 and through 1971 for fucking $250,000, and you create overnight generational wealth for black people like you did with the so-called suburbs. If you want to know how the suburbs was created, you Google it. You look up redlining and you look up suburbs, and you'll see why it was created. And they need to do the same thing in this country for black people. We need to get out of these places to where we're overpopulated and there is no economic opportunity and development. We need to spread out across this country. We need to start back having kids. Women, you need to stop having sex with men that do not marry you. Women, you need to stop getting in relationships with men that have kids. Make these men keep their ownership and their fucking vows that they took. Like, fucking honor your vows. It's too many loose kids running around out here, and those are the kids that's killing people. If you put a faulty product out on the street with no direction, how can this child have any fucking chance of survival? And running to the government, begging them to do things, I get it. But if you want to get to the root of systematic racism, you have to go for things like $20 trillion. You have to uplift communities out of poverty and put them in a situation that creates a different frame of mind with a different educational school system. I've never known anyone that could be doing totally fucked up shit, stay in the same area and become progressive enough to change their life from that area. Look at Nipsey. They will fucking kill you. They will blow you down right in front of all of the great things that you're trying to do. They will kill you. You have to uplift communities. It can't be one person out the hood. It has to be 30 motherfuckers out the hood. You know what I mean? It has to be 100 motherfuckers out the same neighborhood. And no, you can't ask the government to do everything for you. That's why I'm instructing this government to go and get our money from the other governments. Senegal, Portugal, France, Italy, London. That's what I want. That's what will be my wish. Damn a stimulus. Go get that 20 trillion. They owe it to us. They even admitted they owe it to us.
Bring it back better, make it better together. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So I'm going to speak next. Let me just extend greetings. President-elect Biden, Vice President-elect Harris, it is wonderful to have this time with you today to talk about how we rebuild and reconstruct our nation. And as a Black woman, I'm so thrilled, excited, and proud to see Vice President Harris in this seat, and looking forward to working closely with the both of you over the course of the next 4 to 8 years to get our country back on track when it comes to racial injustice. I'm going to focus very squarely on 2 issues this afternoon: voting rights and federal civil rights enforcement. First, I want to underscore how important it would be for both you, President-elect Biden, and Vice President-elect Harris to work hand in glove with Congress to enact the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act. As you know, restoring Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act is critical. This would be a singular and historic and monumental accomplishment for your administration if we can get this bill to the finish line. So that's number one. Number two, I want to ask that you consider issuing an executive order to create a national task force to examine challenges to our democracy, a National Voter Access Commission. And the work of that commission would be to travel across the country, identify and propose new and innovative solutions to help protect our democracy and to ensure that our most vulnerable communities have voice in our democracy.
Okay, let me stop that. I brought that up to you a couple of weeks ago. Anybody that would like to work with me on that, we can raise money to do that. I think that that is something that cannot be owned or ran by a specific person. I came up with an idea called the voting machine. So instead of being on Instagram yapping your gums and chopping it up and laughing and looking at booties and muscles and all that other shit and looking at what rapper bought some stupid shit or changed this and that, how about create a platform and have people to design this platform from Silicon Valley, the same people who wrote Facebook, and instead of being on this shit talking about dumb shit, you're talking about the community, whether you're talking about national, whether you're talking about state, or whether you're talking about local. And you identify yourself, what race you are, and what demographic you're in. And that way, if we did that and we got enough people to get engaged with this, we could identify where the black votes are. And these people that's running for office, we can lobby them so our agenda is put first, or we're not going to vote for you. Or if you get in there and fuck up, we got the votes to vote your ass out. And that's why I call it the voting machine, because America has kind of been exposed this last election. That's why they're having this panel, and that's why it's live, because they start to understand that you can't win a state like Michigan unless the people in Detroit don't come out and vote. Even though Wisconsin is all white, you can't win that state if fucking Milwaukee turn out in numbers. You can't win fucking Pennsylvania if fucking Philadelphia and Allegheny County comes out and vote. Can't win these states if people come out and do these different things. So now we know, after 50 years of hearing this shit, that voting does matter. I've been stressing this shit to people, and I also think that black people need to get this thing out of their head about not fucking filling out the fucking census. Because when they pass these bills, even though they pass the bills, they only allocate the money to areas that has filled out the census. That's how much they determine, well, we passed the bill for fucking $300 billion. And we allocate the money based on the census. And there isn't a politician that can go back and say, hey, we need X amount of money. The president is going to say, well, that's not what's on the stimulus report. The stimulus said that you only need this amount of money. I think that the census needs to be filled out online. I think that voting needs to continue to happen by mail. I think that if they continue to vote by mail, that Republicans may never win again, ever. Or Democrats may never win again, ever. Because whoever play with us with all this technology, like all of these fucking fake ass pastors and shit's gonna go away. All of these people that voting and not doing what they're supposed to do, with this social media climate, they're gonna get weeded out. Like when we say we want fairness and equality, like we mean that shit. You know, and we will vote your ass out. The poorest areas don't see a red cent because the black community, led by the pastors and the pimps and the drug dealers, tell you certain shit like filling out the census is not cool. I ain't going down there to vote. The vote don't matter anyway. Fuck that vote. I ain't going to vote. Like all these fucking narratives and nostalgias about the black community listening to these dumbass rappers and these pastors and these motherfucking athletes and all of these motherfuckers I'm naming always end up with someone from another fucking race. We take their word over everything, including fucking T.I. All these motherfuckers are hypocrites. All of them. They do not put their money where their mouth is. They don't own black businesses in the hood. They don't employ black people in the hood. And the only thing that they want you to do is when they show up for a concert, is to take your ass down there to pay and to buy their album and support their movie. And they come out in their spare time and they act like they are for black people in the hood, and they're so involved in politics, and it's a lie. They're not concerned with that. They're only pushing their family and their own personal family agenda. So is these pastors. Pastors want money. They want you to come to their church. They want you to donate. They want you to give them money. Some of these motherfuckers are blatant with it. They want motherfucking jets and they want Bentleys. I don't see them taking in no homeless people. I don't see any of that. LeBron James do. I'm not talking about everybody when I say this. LeBron James, it's more than LeBron James. There's a lot of people that do. But the majority don't. And you knew LeBron James would. You want to know why? Because he didn't leave his wife that he had all of the kids by. And that's very rare. Very rare. Me and my girl was having an argument about this other day. I ain't going to say an argument, it was a discussion. And I was telling her, I said, name a rapper that was with the girl that was with him the whole time when he was selling CDs out the trunk and he was on the couch and the mama was letting him stay there. Name one that came up, married the woman he was with, besides fucking LL Cool J. The rest of them niggas left the woman they was with. They left their kids and they went and got with another motherfucking exotic woman and went and got married and had made some more babies, child support. I'm getting off topic, but I want you to understand that none of these people that's on this panel know what the fuck they talking about. He's sitting there taking notes. I expect him to tear their ass up. While our voting rights are constantly being challenged and they have no choice but to suppress. How can you be a Republican and not attempt to suppress the vote? Because your party is built upon poor people that's racist and rich people that don't want to pay taxes. I need you to understand that. So you have less people to please than the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party, a faction of it, believes that everything should be free. Everything should be free. Housing should be free. Education should be free. Healthcare should be free. Socialistic ideas. Do I think that some of that stuff needs to be free? Sure, I do. But do I think that it should be a cost for everything? Yeah, I do too. I believe that too. You know, but don't you think it's 75 million people that voted in this country. And they voted against their interests. Republicans want to fucking give tax breaks to the 1%. 90% of those people that voted Republican is on government assistance. They're poor. But out of their hate for black people, based upon what they see on networks, based upon what they see on TV, because they don't know you. They live in rural areas, they don't know you. It's what they see on TV. And that's why I'm trying to tell you that we need real leadership. I think that, what's the lady name? Mona Scott? I think she is like one of the worst people in America for black people. I think that anybody that portrays us on television, how these people portray us, I think that they need to be off television. I don't think that we need to support them. I think that people that make music about killing people in the communities, this and that, yada, 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 and doing drugs, I think that they need to be out of music. You know what I mean? Like, I think that we need to be serious about it. Like, we have been bullshitting. Like, listen, we have been cool. What's up? Give me 5 on the black hand side. We have been pimped, we have been braced, we have been tattooed, weed, wigged. Every motherfucking thing we could possibly do, we have fucking done it. We've done it. We've done all of it. We tried every fucking thing. Have we not? Can we be serious about ourselves for 20 fucking years? I ain't asking you for a lifetime. We've been free for 100 years. We haven't accomplished shit. We don't know shit. We smile too much. We party too much. We need to shut the fuck up, not let them know what our moves is. We need to be smart under the radar. We need to run these motherfucking pimping ass pastors out of our neighborhood. And we need to run these illiterate motherfuckers away from being able to go talk to the president about us. We don't get that many shots. The man is busy. He's setting up meetings. Why are the dumbest motherfuckers in America on this panel talking to him about things that's not gonna help any one of us? Any one of us. I'm not going to talk to the president about voting rights. I'm going to talk to him about bombing motherfucking Portugal over my fucking $20 trillion for beating the shit out of my motherfucking my great grandparents and enslaving her and making me light-skinned when I probably used to be dark-skinned. You know what I mean? I want them motherfuckers to pay an extra $1 trillion for every light-skinned woman in this country that was raped. I want you to feel me. I want y'all to understand me. I want you to feel me. Like, this is about to be my commentary from now on. I'm not about to be talking about that dumb shit. We're going to push this shit. We're going to push the needle a little bit further over here. I want them to feel this. I want them to know, like, this fucking channel, that dude over there, he either crazy or he telling the absolute truth. I hate them fucking rappers. If all them rappers was good people, then give everybody back they masters that work for you, that fucking built your fucking empire, if you care about black people so much. Man ain't even a president yet. You asking him all this dumb shit. The man got a whole motherfucking plan. This the link. It's the goddamn link. You want to read the president's plan for black America? It's right there in that damn link. It's right there in that damn link. I'm a black man out here in America, and I have to be held by I'm held to a certain motherfucking level of criticism and everything. I gotta not break the law. I gotta get a job, pay all my bills on time, take care of my motherfucking family, do the right thing, go to church, get married, everything. Any woman that I fuck with, they require me to do the same thing. I expect the motherfucking entertainers to do the same thing. Why the fuck are y'all making kids and not taking care of them? Why the fuck is you? I don't know. This shit wild. I could talk all night about that shit. You know what I mean? But let's continue to listen to these idiots so we can get through this shit.
The work of that commission could actually help to inform and develop a congressional record that can help make the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act passage possible. But here's the other reason why I think this would be incredibly important and timely. Right now, we are seeing an onslaught of voter suppression efforts across our country and attacks on democracy. The Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights under law has been working in close partnership with the NAACP and other organizations to fight back against the slew of post-election efforts that we have seen to disenfranchise voters across the country. And the reason why we have engaged in these cases is because so many of these cases target Black voters and voters of color in particular. These are cases that are fortunately being squarely rejected by the courts, but we're deeply concerned because we know that once the dust settles on this litigation, that there are states actively preparing to work to reverse many of the gains made to promote access to the ballot during the pandemic. So there's state legislatures that are poised to roll back access to absentee ballots, et cetera. So the timing, the launch of this commission, I think can be a powerful counteractive measure to the kind of slew of voter suppression efforts that we know await us in 2021 and beyond. I also want to talk about how critical it is to not just restore the Civil Rights Division, but to put the voting section of that division back in business swiftly. And I want to single out the voting section for a few reasons. One, we've seen no enforcement of the Voting Rights Act for 4 years. Mm-hmm. Two, we are about to go into the first redistricting cycle in decades where we may be without the full protections of the Voting Rights Act, right? And that will have implications at every level of democracy in our country. But three, we need strong leadership that can help deal with some very live issues that we're up against right now. As you both know, the Supreme Court dealt a huge blow to the Voting Rights Act with the 2013 Shelby County decision. That decision brought to a grinding halt the Section 5 preclearance provision. But what we have left is the Section 2 provision of the Voting Rights Act, which applies nationally and is a tool that all of us use every day to beat back voter suppression efforts. Right now, before the United States Supreme Court is a case that seeks to weaken Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. The Justice Department.
Let me pause on that right quick. I think that she's right about voter suppression, but we don't know how many black votes we got. We don't know how many black folks vote. Black voters don't talk to each other, and it's nowhere to go to discuss black voting. Where are you going to meet? You're on YouTube. You're talking about stinking butts. You're talking about R. Kelly. You're talking about rap. You're talking about everything. We're talking about everything. Some of it good, some of it's bad. But there's nowhere to discuss politics. Want to know why? Black people don't watch the news. Black people don't watch the news. Black people don't participate in things that is of substance. And I'm calling black people out. Why? Because I can. I'm federally indicted. I can. I've earned the right. I've done enough shit in the hood. I've done enough shit with black people. I'm calling black people out. No, we don't. We don't engage in things like that, but we need to start. We need to start. How can you go and say that the black vote is being suppressed when no one has tried to tally or calculate how many black votes are there and where they are at? How can you get someone in office if you don't know how many votes you have? The only thing they can say about black voters is they might turn out and they might not. We need to identify how strong our voting power is, and we need to use it to run politicians out of office that hire bad police officers, that have terrible policies, and we need to enforce some of the people on these channels to create channels like I thought of something called Outrage 911. Every time somebody gets killed, 8 o'clock in the morning, it's 300 people calling the motherfucking alderman. It's 300 people calling the police district. It's 300 people calling the family. We call and harass and we ask them what is going on. We demand that this neighborhood is quarantined just like the fucking COVID. That no one can get in or out. It's roadblocked for at least 6 months. That's how much a black life should mean to you. That's how much a black life should mean to the United States. I don't want one single person to die. If someone is killed in this neighborhood is considered a United States of America hot zone. And you cannot get in this motherfucker or get out. It is feds, it is the county, it is the city. We are in this motherfucker. We need to let these motherfucking terrorists know that we're serious about this motherfucking killing shit. And I want you to understand something. If I'm at a bar and I'm fucked up and I'm drunk and I'm sitting there and I'm getting wasted and I decide to go get in my car and I head down fucking 15 and I kill 3 people, there's a couple of things that's going to happen to me. I'm going to be jailed. The insurance company on my car is going to be sued. The restaurant is going to be sued. The manager that's working that shift is going to be sued. And the fucking person at the bar that sold me those drinks will be sued. all of those people involved will lose, right? So why is it the same thing when they find this gun in the hood that killed this little boy, that took his life, that brought his family grief, that made him have to go to a funeral, that left his kids out here without a father? Why isn't that gun owner, the person at the cash register, the person that shipped the gun, the person that do the patenting, the person that make the bullets, why the fuck they not sued and they not called to a congressional meeting? And their liquor license and their gun license, like, cause your liquor license gonna be on the line too. Why is it the gun license? The motherfucker sold the gun, their license on the line. When you get to talking about systematic racism, you have to really, really, really go deep, and you have to think about other scenarios to where people have cakewalk, where people get punished. This happens to white business owners all the time. A white man is in this motherfucker and he's drinking. He fucked up. The bartender is selling him drinks. The manager knows about it. He gets into his fucking Ferrari and he goes down the freeway and he kills 3 fucking people. All of them are sued. They lose their job. They lose their liquor license. Why isn't it the same thing with the gun that's found in the hood? That gun owner should be sued. The fucking person who made it should be sued. The person who made the fucking bullet should be sued. And motherfucking the person that works that area to where that kid was killed, his job should immediately be on the line. His job should be on the line. His job. All of the police that work that area, their jobs should be on the line. That shit should be roadblocked and quarantined for 6 months. The alderman, the mayor, the local news, everything. And it should be contingent upon us, and we should have 400 people calling the alderman, the police chief, everything brought to justice. And we should find people that work in the area in their Facebook and harass the fucking shit out of them for not fucking telling. That's how you save lives. And guess what? The best part about it all? It's all free. No one has to spend $1. All we have to do is care. Right? Well, let's get back to this. Like, I guess she talking about the Voting Rights Act.
Department just yesterday filed a devastating brief that sides with the petitioners who are seeking to cut out this critical provision of the act. Briefs are due in this case from respondents on January 20th. We'll be filing a brief to stand up to save the Voting Rights Act in that case. But that afternoon, after you are sworn in, we're going to need strong leadership that can move before the stroke of midnight to signal to the Supreme Court that the Justice Department may be revisiting its position in this incredibly important case. We cannot afford to live in a world in which both Section 5 and Section 2 of our nation's most important federal civil rights law have been weakened by the Supreme Court. So there's going to be work to do on the very day in which you are sworn into office. And so strong leadership that can ensure that we're able to get back in business and deal with some of these live threats and issues is incredibly important. I want to close by talking about how important it is that we revive civil rights enforcement, not just in the Civil Rights Division, but across all of our federal agencies, HUD, the Department of Education, the Department of Labor, and more. And here's my final ask. I'd like to ask President-elect Biden that you consider to include among the first memoranda that you issue, one that speaks to the heads of government agencies and underscores the importance of directing those agencies to use all lawful means to recruit and hire diverse political staff within their agencies.
I disagree with that. I want the best people. I don't want black people. They don't have to be black. I just want people that's going to do their job and enforce the law, right? But let me tell you this. I don't want, this is what I want. In the 70s and the 80s, well, anybody black that came out that were talking about equal rights, they shot them in the head or they put them in jail. And that's from the Panthers the Muslims, Malcolm X, the Christians, Martin Luther King, the law and politicians, Medgar Evers, they killed them and they shot all of them in their fucking head, right? I would love it if y'all went and rounded up the Proud Boys. I would love it if it was a government initiative by the Attorney General to go after every militia, to go after everybody driving hate and racism. I think that they should make racism a crime. I think that it should be a felony, punishable up to 10 years in prison. We have to eradicate fucking racism out of this country. There's no room for it. I don't want my kids to grow up and live in a country that's racist. I don't. Yes, you can say racist shit. You can even act racist shit. But if you do racist shit, then you go to fucking prison. You go to prison. If I'm a part of this country and I'm a fucking member, and I'm not gonna say that I'm a citizen. If I'm a part of this country and that of a member, and I'm a teammate to this fucking country, it's not fair that you let other teammates in this fucking country treat me differently than you treat any other teammates. It's not fair. It should cost you more than losing your job. You should lose your license. You should lose your degree. You should go to jail. You have to eradicate racism. We won't need all these fucking civil rights if you fucking put the motherfuckers that's racist, that's doing shit, like a motherfucker that's voting. Voting rights is a law. Everybody has the right to vote. When you violate my voting rights, you should go to prison. That's why stealing fucking money is against the law. You get caught stealing money, people want to put you in prison. If you are a Mexican that's over here illegal, I don't care how many fucking oranges you pick. I don't care how fucking good you is with babysitting kids. Illegal is illegal. Those are the laws that black people have to live by. Everyone should have to live by those laws. Illegal is illegal. It is fucking 13 million people in this country that did not vote with our agenda. They should be kicked out of this fucking country. Because you're not legally supposed to be over here anyway. Illegal is illegal. See, black people, we don't get a chance. We don't get second shots. They catch you, that's your fucking ass. It's your ass. There's no, shit, let them go. Catch and release, all that shit. No, they catch you, you getting a felony. Because they know once they give you that felony, they just fucked up 50 fucking years out of your family's life. Because the systematic systems that they have in place, if they put this felony on you and you live in this state, preferably down south, you're ruined forever unless you start your own business. You're ruined. And your kids' is going to suffer from that. There's no generational wealth for you. There's no opportunity for black people to turn it around. Illegal is fucking illegal. And I'm going to let her finish talking about civil rights. But we wouldn't need all these fucking civil rights if the government did to these white militia groups and these white racist motherfuckers what they did to Medgar Evers, Martin Luther King, fucking the Black Panthers, fucking what they did to all them. No, they shot them in the fucking head. That's what they did to the real black leaders, not these niggas on this panel. They killed them. So maybe they should think about implying some of those things that they did to us, because I haven't seen the black leaders since maybe Martin Luther King, and then we got Jesse Jackson, and then we led us into Al Sharpton, but it hasn't been any black leaders. They killed all of them. They murdered them. They killed them. They killed them. I know you're not going to do that to your own people, so I'm suggesting that you put all of the Proud Boys, all of the members of all of the white militias, that you put all of them in jail. that you jail all of them, and you put them in a situation to where their families will never acquire fucking they'll need civil rights. And they have felonies on their records to where they can't get jobs or live in certain areas or get certain aid or small business loans. Put felonies on their records. You know?
Both to honor the commitment that you've made to assembling a diverse team within this administration, but to also help create a larger pipeline of qualified and experienced diverse political staff who can move up to higher level positions during this and subsequent Democratic administration.
So I want you to pay attention to this. This is the 1, 2, this is the 1, 2, 3, this is the fourth people to talk. And this is the fourth person to talk. And this lady is doing what the other 3 people did, wanting him to create a czar with the staff that go out and do things, go out and fulfill the agendas. One lady said that she wants a black COVID czar with the staff. This lady wants a civil rights staff, and she also wants a voting rights staff. The pastor in the bottom, like, I don't know what he wants. He was fumbling and bumbling. And then I forgot what the first dude said. We're going to come back to it. Or he going to speak again.
Agency heads will be scrambling and are scrambling right now to fill mid and lower level political slots and we know that work will continue in the first few months, but it's imperative that the White House formally and publicly emphasize to agency heads the importance of racial, ethnic, and gender diversity in this administration, and make clear your expectation that agency heads will do everything that is necessary to disassemble diverse teams from top to bottom across our federal government. So that kind of memorandum issued very early on, I think, will be the strong medicine and strong message needed to help ensure that we breathe life into that promise.
Okay.
I am looking forward to engaging with the both of you in the road ahead.
All right, thank you, Kristen. And we'll go to Vanita, Sherilyn, and then Reverend Al to try to make up some time, and then Derek and I will come back with any quick close. So go ahead, Vanita.
Thank you, President-elect, Vice President-elect. I have to just say, I am just personally deeply moved in this moment. As you know, we have all been collectively fighting for the soul of our nation for the last 4 years, and now to be here before you in a moment to rebuild our country, to have the kind of country we deserve, is such an incredible moment of hope. And there's been too little of that the last 4 years. So thank you, and we were honored to be able to push for a pro-civil rights administration from the bottom of my heart. So I am President and CEO of the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights. We are today a coalition of over 220 civil and human rights organizations driving a national policy agenda. I came to this position after serving for just under 2.5 years as head of the Civil Rights Division in the prior Obama administration. In preparation for the Biden-Harris transition, the Leadership Conference has created a comprehensive list of priority initiatives to begin the task of repairing the devastation from the Trump era and to chart a new course that not only strengthens our democracy, but really moves us beyond the status quo to address the root causes of racial inequity in this country. And we've been working very closely with your transition, with the agency review teams on everything from the census to criminal justice reform, immigration, housing, and the like. We've got day one priorities and 100 days priorities to really help make sure that we don't lose a moment. I want to speak very quickly about a few specific points. As you know, and as my colleague Kristen just said, the work of the Justice Department and federal civil rights enforcement, frankly, has never been more important for this country. And I understand acutely how it transforms America, how it affects real people and real communities. It has been gutted as an institution, but we need an attorney general who is going to lead this agency, who has a demonstrated commitment to and experience in civil rights and criminal justice and police reform. Somebody who I think needs to know the department well, who can pick up from where the Obama-Biden administration left off and then go bolder. There is so much to restore. They literally, the Trump administration undid everything pro-civil rights about the Justice Department's work. And we need a new attorney general that's going to be able to step in day one, rapidly restore everything that was broken, and then go much bolder on civil rights and criminal justice reform. Our communities have fought for this. That is something that your administration represents. I was a member of the Biden Standards Unity Task Force with Attorney General Holder on criminal justice reform. I think it's a really robust platform and agenda on these issues, but we absolutely need an attorney general who's got credibility across all of these communities and who can understand the levers of power for our Justice Department. And I can guarantee you with that type of nominee, we will fight for her. So I also want to echo something about voting. It took an unprecedented amount of litigation, organizing, and mobilization from all of our groups and so many more to ensure expanded voting rights amid this pandemic and to fight pervasive, ongoing disinformation by Trump and many others. And so we hope that we understand the Senate, the makeup of the Senate and how much rides on it in the Georgia runoffs. We hope you will continue to uplift H.R. 1, the For the People Act, and H.R. 4, the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act. They passed the House of Representatives. They would have addressed a whole myriad of problems that we had to fight for in this election. We cannot allow that to happen again. And we need a Justice Department that is going to do everything it can to fight for voting rights in your administration. I also want to very quickly say something about the courts, which is we have seen a devastating whitening of the bench. Federal judges affect every part of our lives, and they will affect every part of your agenda. And in the 4 years that Trump has had, he has transformed 25% of the federal judiciary. We now have to re-desegregate the Seventh Circuit. There hasn't been a single African-American circuit court nominee in this entire Trump administration. We have a pipeline of highly qualified nominees who can restore the rule of law and civil rights protections. But this is going to be a core area of focus that we know with all of the juggling priorities can get lost, and yet it undergirds everything that we care about. And lastly, I will just say that all of our organizations worked tremendously hard to get out the census count. It was against some of the most formidable some of the most formidable racist forces, quite honestly, from the administration. We are still fighting to make sure that we can have a fair and accurate count because of the consequences that will last 10 years for our country. But I will also say that one of the things that was so encouraging about the infrastructure that we built to get a fair and accurate count is I believe that that infrastructure can help with vaccine distribution to reach the hardest to count communities that have long been very distrustful of the government and of concerns for very important historic reasons. And so I want to offer that as an idea to.
Okay. A concerted effort. A very, very, very concerted effort. I agree with her on the 25% of the judges that he has enacted around the country. They are specifically put there to put people in jail because, like I said, insider trading, a lot of these congressmen have stock in the private company that owns the private jails that they put us in. They own stock in the companies. They make money off incarcerating us. If you read his plan, I can't tell you what section it is, but he is going to, with the stroke of a pen, executive order, change the sentencing guidelines. It's going to let a lot of people out of jail on day one. I'm not really concerned with the federal guidelines on voting. I think that you get the message about how we elected this president and put him in there. And I don't think it had a lot to do with turnout. I think it had a lot to do with mail-in voting ballots. I think that we need to keep mail-in voting ballots. I think that they need to keep sending them out to sending them in. I think that we'll win every election if we continue to do that. I'm going to do a part 2 on this. I understand that it's getting late. It's 3:30 in the morning. I thank you guys for staying up and participating in this. I'm really passionate about politics. I really understand what is being done to us in our community. be vigilant towards yourselves. Massively, aggressively pull your credit. They are getting ready to enact FICO 10. When they do that, it is going to completely crush any leverage that you thought you was getting ready to create in the black community. They always stay up ahead of us. We create all of these companies and these platforms that tell you to get your credit in order, and here they come with a new program called FICO 10 that's going to change the way that you can clean your credit. That's going to change the way that things get reported. That's going to change how things get implemented into systems about your past. They're going to vigorously get into your business. They're going to stop Black America from being able to access credit based upon things that you did in the past, even if you changes. That program is being made to ensure that if you have paid anything late in your life, that you're gonna pay for it, as if you went to prison, got out, and rechanged your life. When you get a chance, read up on FICO 10. I'm gonna do a show on FICO 10 here in the next week. But tell everybody about this channel. We're gonna be over here talking about things that matter, substance, and we're gonna really. Oh, one more thing. I was walking downstairs just now. Laura Trump, Donald Trump's sister, has just been caught. She serves on a board for a company that Donald Trump's campaign has funneled $700 million through this company, released by the New York Times. Google it, check it out. All these people are hustling, and they want you to work a job and be on the straight and narrow and listen to these pastors and follow the law, when none of them are following the law. None of them. They're all breaking the law. They're all stealing. Everybody in Washington stealing your shit, pushing this fucking vaccine on you, suppressing your vote, telling you, sending these black pastors out here and all these leaders out here, tell you that this is what you need to do and this is what we need from you. Thank y'all very much for tuning in. I get so irritated when I be watching this shit. We will go do part 2 on this, I promise you. Oh, tomorrow night, be on the main channel, 4:30, Too Short, E40. It's going down. Thanks to everybody that stayed up late with me. Versus, and I'm probably going to try to get in a Zoom for moderators tomorrow at some point. That makes sense? All right. Now I got to find the outro. Thank you. Oh. That's not it. That's not it. That's not it.